Hello, you are watching Shalom World News. I'm Rory McLennan, coming to you from Glasgow, Scotland. Here are the latest headlines from around the world. Pope Francis has once again highlighted the importance of grandparents in passing down the flame of faith and the necessity of preserving the memory of those who walked before us. The Pontiff made these observations during the homily at Mass at the Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton on July the 26th, the feast of Saints Anne and Joachim, the grandparents of Christ. He exhorted everyone to think about their grandparents on the feast day. He said it was in their home that Jesus came to know his relatives and experienced the closeness, tender love and wisdom of his grandparents. The Pope said it was in grandparents' homes that many believers breathed in the fragrance of the gospel. Although the Pope was present on the altar, his leg pain prevented him from offering the Mass. Instead, it was Archbishop Richard Smith of Edmonton who offered the Mass. Thousands of believers, including members of the indigenous peoples and religious, attended the Mass, which was said in both English and in Latin. It was the Vicar of Sacred Heart Church of the First Nations in downtown Edmonton, Father Susai, Jesu, who invited the Holy Father to visit the parish during his visit to the Vatican in April this year. Speaking to Shalom World, the priest said that everyone is happy with the visit of the Pope to the parish church of the First Nations in Edmonton on Monday afternoon. He said that the Pope visiting the parish is the plan of God, and that is what people believe. Father Jesu said that the parish was chosen as there are so many elders who went through the residential school program there. He said the parish is responding to the dire needs of everyone and not just the indigenous peoples. The other reason, he said, is because it is a national shrine, which is another healing centre that fosters reconciliation. The Holy Father visited the famous pilgrim centre of Lac Sainte Anne near Edmonton later on Tuesday to bless the waters of the lake. Hundreds of indigenous believers gathered at the shrine dedicated to Saint Anne on the shores of the lake, which is believed to have miraculous healing powers. After blessing the waters, the Pontiff took part in a liturgy of the word in the shrine. In his homily, the Pope said that contemplating these waters inspires everyone to return to the source of life and of faith. He then focused on its healing power in the context of the suffering of the indigenous peoples. He sought the intercession of Saint Anne and the Holy Virgin to heal the deep wounds of the native communities. The Pontiff also stressed the role of grandmothers in healing deep wounds of the community. He was accompanied by Vatican Secretary of State Cardinal Pietro Parolin, Archbishop Richard Smith of Edmonton, Canadian prelates, and Great Chief George Archond. In Britain, the parents of a 12-year-old brain-dead boy have lost their appeal against the hospital's decision to remove their child from life support. The Court of Appeal issued a verdict on July the 25th, saying that Archie Battersby could be removed from ventilator support. On April the 7th this year, the boy was found unconscious at his Essex home following an apparent online challenge. He was taken to the Royal London Hospital, where he did not respond to a peripheral nerve simulation test, which precedes a brainstem function test. On May the 31st, MRI scans were done, and the High Court ruled on June the 13th that it was highly likely that the boy was brainstem dead, and so life support could be removed. Following the July the 25th ruling, Bishop John Sherrington of the Diocese of Westminster said the sad case of Archie is very distressing. He added that the Catholic Church requires moral certainty before it recognises death. The hospital has delayed the removal of life support by 48 hours to permit Archie's family to appeal to the European Court of Human Rights. An Israeli non-governmental organisation has lodged a complaint against the police department for failing to provide security cover to Christian pilgrims who came under attack from hardline Haredi Jews. The Israeli Reform Centre for Religion and State registered a complaint after pilgrims came under attack in Jerusalem. The attorney of the NGO sent a letter to Public Security Minister Omer Bar-Lev and Police Inspector General Yaakov Shabtai on July the 23rd. It is alleged that Haredi youth attacked as many as 140 Christian priests on July the 14th while they were undertaking a pilgrimage in the Old City of Jerusalem. There are complaints that although the police arrived, they did nothing to stop the assailants. The NGO alleged that it was not an isolated incident, as similar attacks have taken place in the past. The centre called on police to ensure that such incidents are not repeated. In what seems to be an attempt to completely wipe out Ukraine's national identity, Russian troops have demolished or severely damaged 183 religious buildings. The atrocities took place in at least 14 regions of the Eastern European nation. According to the State Service of Ukraine Ethnic Affairs and Freedom of Conscience, 173 buildings belonged to Christian entities, whereas the others include mosques, synagogues, and educational and administrative buildings. The Ukrainian Orthodox Church controls 127 of the 173 Christian sites destroyed entirely or partly in the Russian onslaught. In addition, 22 sites of Protestant communities, 19 belonging to the Orthodox Church of Ukraine or OCU, 3 belonging to Roman Catholics and 2 Greek Catholic sites have been destroyed. These statistics also showed that 45 sites in Donetsk and 40 in Luhansk suffered the most damage. They were followed by 34 in Kiev and 25 in Kharkiv. UNESCO confirmed damage to 164 sites as of July the 18th, since the Russian occupation began on February the 24th. With the situation in Ukraine worsening, Caritas Switzerland has announced that it will provide aid of 12 million francs to assist the relief programs in the war-torn country. According to a press statement from the Catholic charity issued on July the 21st, Caritas Switzerland will concentrate its efforts on vulnerable Ukrainians and children. Caritas has been assisting those in need in Ukraine and Poland since the outbreak of the war. The charity offers psychological support, housing, and food. Caritas Ukraine is also active in the conflict-hit nation. More than 3 million people in Ukraine have benefited from various Caritas relief programs so far. Every day, thousands of shipments containing essential items are given in big cities. Governor Mark Gordon of Wyoming in the United States has signed into law an anti-abortion bill, which bans abortion in almost all cases, with exceptions in cases of rape, incest, or peril to the mother's health and life. The bill was inked into law on Friday, July the 22nd, and will come into effect on Wednesday, July the 27th. People who provide abortion could face a felony charge and receive up to 14 years imprisonment. House Bill 92 was passed by the Wyoming legislature in March earlier this year, and the governor had signed it into law. It was triggered after the US Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, which legalized abortion across the United States on June the 24th. A review of the bill was done by Attorney General Bridget Hill, who gave her approval for the same a day before the bill was approved by the governor. Gordon said on Twitter, "As a pro-life governor, my focus will continue to be on ensuring we are doing all we can to support mothers, children, and families." Meanwhile, the bill's opponents have filed a lawsuit on Monday, July the 25th, seeking to temporarily block the law from going into effect. The conflict between the Maronite Church and the Lebanese Hezbollah shows no signs of toning down, even a week following the detention of Bishop Musa el-Hagi, the Maronite Bishop of Haifa and the Holy Land. The prelate was travelling to Lebanon, bringing aid to dozens of war-torn families on both sides of the Israel-Lebanon border when he was detained. Decrying the incident, Maronite Patriarch Cardinal Beshara Rai said, "What has happened is an insult to the Maronite Church, the Patriarchate, and me personally." He accused the political system of being influenced by the Free Patriotic movement. It was formed by the head of state, Michel Aoun, and is currently headed by his son-in-law, Gibran Bassil. Patriarch Rai warned that Lebanon is becoming a police state, an inquisitorial state where everyone watches others. The Patriarch reaffirmed that the Maronite Church was the victim of a political plot. He added that the bishop's questioning was a grave breach of the principle of the Church's legal and protected jurisdictional autonomy. In unrest-hit Sri Lanka, a court has imposed an overseas travel ban on a Catholic priest and 5 other anti-government activists. Father Amila Jiwantha and others were penalised for charges such as unlawful assembly and causing damage to public property during a protest in front of the police headquarters in the capital, Colombo. After considering a request by the Colombo Crime Division on July the 25th, a magistrate court issued the travel ban. Father Juantha, who is the convener of the Inter-University Student Federation, has been at the forefront of anti-government protests as the nation reels from an unprecedented economic crisis. According to a senior priest from the Archdiocese of Colombo, security forces are trying to discourage protesters and religious leaders who are fighting for justice. And those are your latest headlines. Do join us again tomorrow for more. And remember, you can also visit swnews.org for more updates. Shalom.